On. Hello and welcome to BB on Blast with me, Gaz.
And me, Lynsey.
And
Cameron.
Oh, yes, me.
Sorry.
the winner of Big Brother 2018, the last ever Big Brother winner.
Woo! Cameron, you know we've been supporting you this whole time.
Yeah, Lynsey, I know you've been my biggest fan. I've been reading the tweets. You've loved me.
You know what? On the first night when you went in, I did love you. And you can win me back over. So you just got to try.
I'll try. 1 out of 53 days, I guess, is a good rate.
She actually fancied you on the launch night, so.
Oh well, I'm flattered.
Shut up, Gaz. You twat.
Podcast already, you don't know. So Cameron, hang on, is it a week to the day? Is it since we were at the house, since you walked out of that house?
Yeah, it's literally a week. It's been absolutely crazy. Total whirlwind. I mean, you honestly can't describe how it is. You're in the house for 53 days, and all of a sudden you come out to a crowd. Obviously, they were cheering me, which was fantastic. Then you're whisked off to have an interview with Emma. Then obviously you're on bots. It's just you're seeing all these people, you're meeting all these people. Then obviously there's a rap party as well, and you've got people coming up to you who know who you are. I mean, I never experienced that in my life. Hundreds of people knowing my name. It was amazing, but it was very, very overwhelming.
But it must be a bit weird. So after that, like, after you've done the interview with Emma and bots and the rap party, then it's just like silence. No, you've gone back home. Isn't that kind of weird?
It is a weird feeling to go back home because everything's the same, but it's all very different at the same time. Because obviously lots happen, news has happened, football, sport, politics, everything's happened that you don't know, and you're trying to catch up. New music has come out. So it's really, really weird. And then obviously you've got all these new followers on social media and people messaging you, and you know, you tweet and it actually gets a like, you know, where usually, you know, you'd have to wait like 2 days for it to like, you know, I might like my own tweet, but now I don't have to do that. So
because of the shit you were tweeting before, Cameron, that's why.
Yeah, it probably was. It's probably the rubbish I was tweeting before. No wonder it didn't get any likes.
You tweet an Ariana Grande lyric and people go ape shit about it.
Exactly. That's all you've got to do now. I don't have to. I can tweet fruit and I get, you know, a few hundred likes. So it's a fun time at the moment.
So why aren't you out spending your $100,000 on, you know, I don't know what I was going to say there. Why are you talking to us?
Well, because I'm a massive fan of the podcast, obviously, and I watched it before I came in. Obviously, before I went in the house for celebrities and the last the celebrity in January as well. So no, it's an honour to be on. It's an honour to be on the podcast.
Oh my god!
How did you find out about us, Cameron?
I think it must have been Twitter. It must have been Twitter. Probably about over a year ago. It was the last Civilian series, not my series, the series before that. My series. I'm claiming the whole series. I didn't mean it like that. The series I was on. The one before that. I think I must have obviously been, you know, tweeting about it and using the hashtag, and then saw you both, and then sort of gave the podcast a listen, and obviously really enjoyed it. And since then, I've been following you both on Twitter and been big fans. So.
I feel really bad. If I'd have known you were a listener, I wouldn't have been such a.
Well, you know, hindsight's a great thing.
Well, and for you too, Cameron.
Yeah, very true.
So should we get the shit out of the way first?
Yeah, of course, we'll do. I'm happy to answer anything.
Okay. Shall I guess?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Basically, so we really liked you when you went in, and then we saw your video, and Gaz reckons it's just clickbait. I must admit, what video? It didn't even seem like you. Like your voice didn't even seem like you. It seemed like you were like almost like playing a character or something. But anyway, I was mortally offended by it, and I took against you from that moment. And I just wondered, like, I guess why you didn't take it down before you went in the house. Obviously, I don't think you still believe those things now. I'm putting words in your mouth. Did your experience in the house change your opinion on these things? What did you think those things and mean those things? I know you're younger. Over to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, age is not an excuse. So I'm not going to say that, but obviously, it was 2.5 years ago. Age is irrelevant, but it was 2.5 years ago, and obviously, people's, you know, views and stuff can change. Obviously, when I did that, obviously, it was called "If You're Easily Offended," then Fuck off.
Fuck
Sorry for
off.
swearing. I hope can I swear on the podcast? I can.
Of course you fucking can.
So yeah, that's what it was called, and it was basically a series to just wind a few people up at school, be a bit, be overconfident, a bit of a personality, like I don't know what's called, like an online persona type thing of just ranting, but just saying stuff to try and get a reaction from school. And people from school. I think a lot of what was said in there was taken out of context. I mean, I don't stand by 100% what I said in there at all. And I was more referring to radical feminists, which I didn't obviously allude to in the video. I do obviously, in hindsight, I wish I'd have taken the video down. I don't hold the same views as I did when it was there. I mean, that goes without saying. The house didn't change my opinions massively because my opinions had already changed. So it wasn't that. It was just one of the videos, because I've got thousands of videos on there. And obviously I tried to vet everything before I went in. It was just one that, it sounds ridiculous, but it just slipped through the thing. Obviously the title is clickbait. That is to get people talking. And obviously some people saying on there that I said women should be beaten and stuff like that. It's just absolutely not true. That's not what I said. Never, ever would I say that. I'm the least violent person in the world. I mean, I get scared of butterflies, So, I mean, I totally and utterly hate violence, no matter who it's against. And never, ever would I say that it's okay for violence. I'm totally against it. So it was a little bit of a shame, obviously, that video was taken out of context. But I understand, obviously, it did offend people, and obviously it was there to offend people at the time. But it was stupid. It was a video that obviously I regret now, and I regretted before doing. And I obviously apologise to you and anyone who it did offend. I didn't mean it to offend people and hurt people in that way. So I am disappointed. All I will say on the feminist thing, because my opinion has changed. What I want equality and equal opportunity. That's what I believe in, and that's what most people believe in. And obviously there are issues on both sides still. We're not 100% equal. There are issues on for women that still aren't equal with different things, and there's still issues as well on the men's. So rather than this whole so it can only be women's issues, it can only be men's issues, why can't we all just try and help that? Yeah, more men commit suicide than women, so let's sort that issue out. And also there's issues with body image issues with women and the way that they've got to be seen and objectified and stuff like that. So let's work on them all together. Let's not go, we can only be this, because it turns into this whole superiority thing, and that's what I don't like. It's like both extremes are bad. We all, most of us normal sane people want the same thing, and that's equal opportunity, equal rights for everybody, equality of opportunity. And it's just the extremes on both sides want superiority, and that's not what I want. And that's what I honestly view is that there's issues still on both sides, and we can all come, can we not all come together and try and work on those issues together, rather than it being this versus this person versus this person. You know what I mean? It's not just with gender issues at all. It's the same with sexuality. There's whole straights versus homosexuals. It's the same thing in many other things as well. So it's not just the thing. But I don't understand. It's the same with politics. Everything's so divisive. That's what I'm so upset about, because yes, there might be somebody who has a complete different political opinion to you, but ultimately we all want the same thing. We all want good education, a good future for our kids, good jobs, prosperous country, safe from crime. So, we can go out in the evening, we don't feel like we're going to get, stabbed or anything. Do you know what I mean? That's what we all want, a good health system. We all want the same thing. We just have different ways of getting there, if you see what I'm saying. And that's what I just feel like in politics and with other things at the moment, there's just no debate. It's just, well, you're this, you're that, and it's just this, it's childlike, it's playground kind of talk. And I just wish we would be able to debate. You can then strengthen your own point, you can develop your own point, and we can get to the same conclusion. We all want the same thing. We all want the same things. It's just we've got different ways of getting there, if that makes sense. Sorry, I rambled on there.
No,
Typical
that's good,
me.
but do we all want the same thing though? I don't know if we do.
Well, I mean, obviously there's always going to be the people that don't want equality and equal opportunities, and they don't want they do want nationalism and communism and stuff like this. If we're going to talk about politics, there's always going to be those extremes, but the majority of people want the same thing. They just have different ways of getting there, if you see what I'm saying. And I feel a lot of people are so ideologically driven by, I'm a socialist, or I'm a conservative, and they can't take the best parts from different ideologies and bring them together into it, because I'm so ideological. And it just frustrates me a little bit. Again, that is not beside the point, but that's just my opinions on things, if that makes sense.
It's kind of tied into it, isn't it? Do you still consider yourself to be a Tory?
Well, that's a funny story, actually, because I'm really annoyed with the producers regarding that. I haven't really spoken to them about it. But basically what happened is I really was into politics in like 2016, 2017. I've always been interested in politics because there was the US election, there was Brexit. I was doing politics at sixth form for about 8 weeks. I only stayed there for 8 weeks. But anyway, so basically that was going on, and I was just looking at different parties to join, and basically the Conservatives at the time were the cheapest party to join. So I just wanted to join them because what I wanted to do it sounds ridiculous, but what I wanted to do is go to one of the events because I just wanted to see what it's all about. It wasn't that I agreed with the Conservative. The Tories at the moment are Theresa May's a complete. Well, she's not doing the greatest job. Let's be honest. There's no need to get into politics here. But I don't trust any political party in this country. That's the God's truth. So anyway, what I'm trying to say here, I'm rambling on again. So I'll be back in the diary.
That's okay. You can ramble on.
Basically, what happened was I said to them. They said, "Are you a member of any political party?" And I said, "Well, I am a member of the Conservative Party because I was a member of them the previous year, and they automatically renewed the membership, took the money out of my account. It didn't even have enough money in my PayPal. It went into the minuses."
Robin.
And then so then I was still in theory I was still a Tory for another year. But so then when I came out, because I hadn't heard about the whole Tory thing, I came out, watched the my obviously launch night in the hotel, and it goes, "Cameron's a Tory," and I was totally and then I saw people absolutely going mad on Twitter about it, and I thought it really frustrated me really, because I just don't like the fact that they've not taken what I've said, and they've obviously tried to put it as a thing, and I'm sure they didn't mean to do it that way, but it does annoy me because that's just not the full truth. That's not how they painted it at all.
Well,
you do know in the application process they're looking for those things to label you as.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That label helped you get into the house, no doubt. They probably loved it.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, to be fair. But like I say, I always told them the story as that, and that's the genuine story. It sounds ridiculous, but it's honestly the truth. So I am by default at the moment still a member of the Conservative Party, but I have cancelled the subscription. I have cancelled the subscription. So.
Pay for that privilege, Cameron? How much was
it? It was from memory it was like £5, and then it automatically renewed for £25. So it was
Jesus.
It was a heartbreaking time when I saw my PayPal and it was in the minuses, and I was like, what on earth is that? And then I obviously realised. So yeah, the letters then started coming through again. But no, that's the funny story on the whole Tory thing. So no, believe it or not, I'm not actually a Tory.
Well, what about this profile of you that's like Tory, that you support Trump, that you're Brexit?
No, I mean this is ridiculous. I followed the US election back in 2016.
Hang on, didn't that say #MAGA on the description?
On the what? On what are we talking about?
On one of your old Twitter accounts.
Oh, what the politics? I don't know what that's all about. But at the end of the day,
so you're saying you don't like Trump anymore?
Well, no, Trump's lost the plot. No, Trump's totally lost the plot. Some of his policies during the election made some sense, especially economically. I saw where he was coming from, but it's even obviously coming out and seeing what he's done since then. He's totally and utterly lost the plot. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's talking about with the fire. He's trying to blame. He's like blaming other people for a natural disaster. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. I don't know what on earth has gotten in his head regarding that. There's too many things now. The US election back in 2016 was very, very fun to watch. Really enjoyed watching it. It was like a reality television show. It really was entertaining, and I got engrossed in it, and it was very fun to watch. And it was nobody knew what was going to happen. It was great, but he's totally lost the plot. And what obviously economically, I liked a lot of what he was saying, and I thought that it could be something that could benefit people. And obviously, America wanted to change, but I think it's safe to say that the change is not necessarily going the way that they all thought it was going to go. So no, I don't know where obviously all that's come from. Brexit wise, to be honest with you, I do still believe Brexit will be a good thing for the country. But again, it's one of those things that I have no issue with somebody if they totally disagree with it. I'm not somebody who's Brexit. I'm happy to have a nice debate about it. Yeah, we may have different opinions on it, but do you know what I mean? I don't.
But you're entitled to your own views about politics.
Yeah, exactly, and I just feel like it's a shame.
Apart from being anti-feminist, because then we're going to fall out. But.
I'm only anti-radical feminist. If we mean feminist in the sense that we want equal rights for women, then of course I have no issue with that.
That's what feminism is: having equal rights.
I just feel like the radical side of it has changed the definition slightly.
There's a very radical, male side of it though that is quite offensive and hardcore as well.
Oh, the men's rights section. I totally agree with you. That's what I was saying earlier. That the both radical sides just aren't helping the situation. There are issues on both sides, And why can we not just come together and work on those issues together rather than this whole slanging match like we're back on the primary school field in year 7 and we're all shouting at each other. That's not primary school, year 7's high school, so I messed myself up there. But you know what
we
I mean.
don't know. We're too old. We don't remember. Anyway, okay. Should we move on from that, Gaz? Are you happy to move on from that?
I know fuck all about politics, but you know what? After that speech, I'd give Cameron a vote to be the next fucking Prime Minister.
I appreciate that.
I will, as long as he behaves himself.
He got better than Theresa May as well.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult to do better than her at the moment. But anyway,
ask some fun questions.
Are you satisfied, Lynsey?
I am. There's still some things you said that I'm not that happy with, but I don't think there's any point. If you're saying you don't feel those things anymore, and you were trying to wind people up, then
absolutely.
It said if you're offended, fuck off. So I mean,
I mean, like I say, I apologise. Obviously, if it did offend you, and if it did offend anyone else, and you know, I didn't intend to offend you guys. That was never my intention. And like I say, obviously, that doesn't mean that me wanting to wind people up was a good thing, but because it wasn't. Obviously, that's not a mature thing to do. But it was 2.5 years ago. I have changed. I have grown. And learn things. I know that's such a cop-out thing to say, but it's genuinely the truth. My opinion is not the same. If I did that video on that topic now, the video would be very, very different.
Yeah.
My opinion would obviously still be like what I've said to you about both radical sides and stuff like that, and that I think they're both not helping. And my opinion would still be that, but I would just word it in a better way, and it wouldn't be to do with a series where I'm trying to offend and just wind up a few people from school. So I hope that's kind of cleared it up for you. I totally obviously respect that, you might still feel however you feel about it, and that's totally your feelings. And I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise.
It was the only reason why it was a shame was because we liked you so much at first, and then I felt like I couldn't like you, even though times throughout the time watching you, I did really, really like you. I found you funny, but that was always like at the back of my mind. So it was just a shame because I could have been so behind you. But Gaz, anyways.
Yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from, and you don't have to apologise about that at all.
No, I actually do want to apologise because I've been quite mean about you on the podcast, and I don't really think of you as being a real person. And for you to come on, we really appreciate it. So.
No, you're welcome. You don't have to apologise. It's Big Brother at the end of the day. We all have opinions on things. The only thing that I'm upset about people talking about is when they talk about the whole coming out thing and say that I've done that before. That's the only thing, because that
Let's
question.
Talk about that.
That question's my ticket. That's the only one. If people moan about me being miserable and stuff like that, that's fair enough, because I've watched the first 2 weeks and I'm as miserable as they come. So I totally understand if people find that. That's fine. That's Big Brother. That's opinion. Some people are going to love the miserableness. Some people aren't going to like it. That's the whole point of the show. I like that. So I have no issue with that at all. It's just when people question the whole coming out thing, that's what really does irritate me. Because
tell us your stance on that.
Add to this. Can I just clarify some of the stuff that I've said? So I did question whether you strategically plan to come out in the house, because and I've voiced this on the podcast that a storyline wins Big Brother UK, and you knew that because it seemed to me like you knew quite a lot about the show. You said afterwards that you went in planning to never have to come out, never have to deal with it. And actually, I did buy that. And I said that to Lynsey in the last podcast. I do actually believe what you'd said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, over to you. It wasn't a strategy. It was never a part of a plan.
Absolutely not, because I knew how it was going to come across. I knew people would question it. The thing is, we always want to see people's lives unfold. I always want to see real people in there and real people's lives unfold. On the show. And obviously when I was coming up to the show, I've still got the letters. I read every single family member. There's about 30 letters, a letter basically coming out to them in a letter, and I just never had the balls to give it to them. I managed to give it to my aunt, and I managed to tell my mum literally the day before I went into hiding, and they're the only two family members that know, and that is the God's honest truth. I've got my mum wrote me a diary when I was in the house. Basically, originally it was just to try to keep me informed of what was going on at home with my little sister and how she was getting on at school and stuff like that. But then it turned into like a Big Brother fan thing where she was talking about what I was doing on the show. And as I've been watching the show, and obviously that conversation that I had with, I had obviously a conversation in the diary, which I honest to God didn't think was going to be aired. And obviously I had a conversation with Lewis in the locker room, which was coded, but it was, let's be honest, it was absolutely terribly coded. And in that diary entry, it says your aunt's just messaged, your nan's just messaged, and granddad and stuff like that. And they've all said, they don't 100% know what you're talking about, but they love you no matter what and stuff like that. So that it does upset me when people are questioning it, because I've literally got proof there. I've got Facebook messages from them when I came out, obviously on television. I'm telling you now, my dad didn't know. I know what he said on bots. He meant apparently
Your mum told him.
And his mum, yeah, my mum did prepare. My mum did tell him when I went, because she didn't want him to find out. But the first time he would have heard those words and me actually say it is when Lewis asked me the question and I responded. And that is the God's honest truth. I'm not going to swear on anything because I don't like swearing on things, but I would swear on anything. That is the God's honest truth. And as for the whole tweet thing, the whole YouTube video, I'm not even going to cross over that because that's not even a talk about that. I was talking about my fear of death. Obviously, I used a word that, yes, in theory does mean that by definition, but it was not me talking about that at all. And then obviously there's a tweet as well where I think I said I'm bent, follow my private Twitter. Again, that's not, I didn't mean, obviously bent, I know what bent means, you know, I know what it meant, but it wasn't me coming out. Trust me, if everybody my sort of age who called themselves bent on social media was actually bent, then there'd be a lot more hot guys for me to actually be able to get to, because it would be half the world. A lot of straight guys who I'm in love with, I would actually maybe have a chance with. So it wasn't that, I swear to you. My aunt knew, my mum knew, told my dad after I went into hiding. I never told him, so he would have heard that first from there. My best friend Bex knew. She won't mind me name dropping her. She'd probably get all excited when she listens when I've name dropped her. But that's it. All my I never told any male friends. That's the first time they heard. I had another couple of aunts, they didn't know. My grands, my two nans, my two granddads didn't know. My uncles didn't know. My cousins, none of them knew. So it was. I mean, if coming out is coming out to your mum the day before you go into hiding, then yes, I came out. But I don't think it is. In my mind, coming out is when you're happy, or when everybody in your family or your circle of friends knows, and they didn't know until what they saw unfold on Big Brother. And that's why I was so worried about it, because I genuinely I was upset with myself because I never got to give them those letters that I wrote, and I never got to tell them, and they had to find out on national television. And obviously reading the diaries, obviously my aunt sent me a message when I came out. One of my aunts sent me a message and said, I just wish I could hug you now and tell you that we're okay with everything and everything's fine. So I understand people are always going to question the genuineness of it, and that's fine, because I'm on Big Brother. I knew how it's going to come across. I watched the show. I know that some people are not going to take that as what it was. It wasn't a strategy to win the show, I swear to you, because it was. I wish it wouldn't have been an issue. I wish I'd been able to sort it out before, and I wish I'd been able to get through without talking about it, because it really emotionally was tough in there because of what I'd done. And that's not me saying, "Oh, feel sorry for," because I don't want anyone to feel sorry for it. I did what I said, and I did what I did in there. But like I say, what I am sad about is that people are questioning it, but I get it. I totally get why people would. But even though they are questioning it, and people will continue to question it, the amount of messages that I've got from people that have said how much I've helped them and how they've came out to their family and their mum, it honestly, I can take the hate for 10, 12, the rest of my life from, people, if it means that I've helped out and helped change people. And honestly, reading some of the messages last night, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I was honestly crying, because I put on when Lewis had that chat to me in the locker room and started crying, and then I started reading some Instagram messages trying to cheer myself up, and they were all about that and saying how much I've helped them and how they've come out to their mum and how they have an issue with the word as well. So seeing that on television was so relatable, and it means the absolute world, and I'm so honoured that I was able to do that. I didn't plan on doing it, but good seems to have come from something that I never planned on doing, and I do now feel free. So I honestly can tell you, and obviously people don't have to believe it and believe what you want, but it was genuine. That's the God's honest truth. That is the truth about the whole coming out thing. And but obviously there's still going to be a few people that are going to question it, and maybe the positives outweigh the negatives regarding that tenfold. And there's always going to be people questioning it. But like I say, reading the messages that I'm getting, and there's been a lot, and I don't mean that to like try and be arrogant or anything like that, but there's been so many messages. It's meant the absolute world to me that I've actually finally been able to put the 4 years of shit to bed and actually be able to help people out as well. So I can take the little bit of hate that comes with it if it means that I'm helping people out and I'm genuinely changing people's lives, because it's just, I can't describe to you how it feels that I'm actually, by doing something like that, I've managed to help people's lives out. It's made everything worth it. And that's not me trying to come across as a saint, because everyone who comes out, it's difficult. It was no more difficult for me than it was everyone else. And that's why when I won, I know it sounds ridiculous, and I never said it in the house because I didn't want it to become something like some storyline or anything like that, which obviously it did. But I mean, I didn't want it to become like I was saying this to try and get me to win. But I do dedicate my win to anyone who's ever come out, because it is a really, really difficult thing. And what I did there, I did, but so many thousands of people have done that and had different reactions, and it was as much for them as it was for me to win the show. And I'm so glad that it's helped people out, and it's kind of made the whole thing worth it. Sorry, I rambled again. You just tell me to shut up like Big Brother.
Yes, you say.
No, that was an incredible response, and actually, you just got me feeling a little bit emotional there, because I mean, like on the feedback on the last podcast that we had, somebody was being really grateful to me about sharing my story, and that is just one person, and that made me really emotional. So to have a lot of positive feedback about, you know, having helped other people coming to terms with it, I can understand how emotional that would be. And we also had an email from, is it the same person?
Yeah, no, a different person about Cameron. Yeah,
you, and how they were so conflicted because they didn't agree with your political views, but at the same time, you coming out and dealing with that difficult situation was really an inspiration to them. In fact, that was conflicted. That was the same person.
Conflicted, yeah. It was the same person. You were both an inspiration to that same person.
Oh.
And this person called Ali in real life, isn't it? And we're not sure if was just saying thank you to me for being a positive gay role model who's like proud to be gay, etc. And yeah, it means a lot. And I feel bad for questioning your motivation.
No, you shouldn't feel bad, because it's on national television.
It's Big Brother.
It's I knew what was going to happen. It was understandable that people were going to question it. Yes, it's upsetting that people are still questioning it, and it does hurt, because it kind of makes you feel like, I don't know, it just makes you feel a little bit shit regarding the whole thing. But I understand that was always going to happen, and I'm just glad that it has been able to help people out. And I know there's some people that saying, I've read some tweets that say, oh, he's not even, you know, the G word, he's asexual and stuff like this. And it's just,
what?
Are you even? I said that myself. I don't even believe he is. Yeah, and then I said, look at his wardrobe.
And that. That's funny. But
he's only 18. You don't really know how to dress yourself yet, you know.
But, yeah, that's a fair point. I cannot dress myself. But no, that bit did upset me a little bit when I read different stuff like that, because obviously I have struggled with it for so long, and then for people to question it after that, and it's not that I'm not proud of it. It's just I find it very difficult to say the words, and nobody should feel ashamed.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, yeah.
You're actually, to be able to come to terms with it at that age is actually a really positive thing. I think it took me a lot longer to even know myself that I was. So know yourself, Lynsey. I think the quote there.
It's a massive deal, and you shouldn't really have to explain yourself about that. Really, it's no one's business, and of course it's someone's business because you're doing it on TV. But you won, so obviously a lot of people did believe you and were on board with it. And there was loads of Gaz, weren't there, that were saying that, what's that noise? Is that me? We're saying that it helped them, and Team North was saying it was really emotional and stuff. So,
yeah.
Gaz, are you doing something on your phone? It's making a noise.
No, I'm not touching my phone. No. My boyfriend was also saying the same, and we were being like, "Oh, that's a storyline."
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good to get that out. It's good to get that out there and get your point across. Gaz, ask some fun questions now. This is like fucking question time.
Yeah, okay. So you are a super fan, but you're only 18. How much like past Big Brother had you actually watched?
Well, I've obviously I started watching when I was about 10. So about 8 years ago, when I wasn't even meant to be watching it, because this is, you know, all the warnings that they give at the start of the show. Obviously, that didn't go down particularly well. You know, I did it discreetly, but no, I've gone back and watched the shows and watched the X series and stuff like that. I'm terrible with knowing winners and stuff. That I get everyone mixed up, because I don't know about you guys, but some series just people fall into like 3-4 series, and it confuses me then when what series they actually are in. But I've watched. Yeah. I mean, literally, my history on YouTube is just full of Big Brother best bits, Big Brother highlights, Big Brother this, Big Brother that. I watch it all throughout the year, even when it's not on.
Yeah,
I'm still watching it. So when Celebrity finishes and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a break until the summer," there I am rewatching this series, the Gemma Collins Celebrity series, Tiffany Pollard, that sort of stuff, or going and watching like Nikki Graham series. It's just trying to find the links online. I mean, you know what I'm talking about because you're super fans. You know, trying to scroll through and find blooming links to X series is absolutely not. And then you get to one episode and it's like copyrighted and you can't find the episode. And it's a nightmare. So So yeah, no, that's when I started watching it. But I've watched pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't say I've watched every single episode of every single series because that would probably be a lie. But I have watched parts of the majority of most series. I know what most storylines are and stuff like that. I say names and winners and that I'm awful at. So I'm a terrible super fan when it comes to that. But
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And do you watch the international versions at all?
I've watched a little bit of American Big Brother. Because obviously that was on before we came in, and it was actually still going on when we were. I think it finished a couple of days after, didn't it?
Yeah, it's long.
And I saw, I saw some of the twists on that. Obviously with the robot that they had this year, that was quite a funny twist.
That was good.
The one thing that annoys me about that series is the fact that the public don't have as much of a say, and I really like the public say too, because I loved. That's it. They literally have no say whatsoever. What I loved about this series, obviously, I didn't know until I came out of the house, was obviously this whole you guys getting to vote about public nomination. Was it? I don't know what they called it.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea. We had no clue in the house. Completely set us crazy. But that's a fantastic idea because it just gives you guys more power. So it doesn't allow for the floaters to float through to the final. Do you know? And that's what frustrates me as a viewer. And maybe some people think I was a floater. I don't know. But to float through to the final, it really irritates me when people float through to the, and that didn't allow it to happen because people actually had to vote for you. It weren't going to get to the stage where some, like me and Zoe, obviously we weren't up for the whole time. If that would have just been from pure nominations, people could have wanted us out for 8 weeks and had no control because the house liked us. And I don't like that, if you see what I'm saying. So I was really happy about that thing. But yeah, I've watched America. Back to your original question, I'm rambling again.
That's okay.
But American, like I say, the fact that there's not as much public say, I'm not a love of it. I watched a little bit of, I think it was BB India. I saw a clip of BB India before I went in with like an argument over a broomstick or something, which was iconic. So
there was a mad bit of Big Brother Spain that someone sent us where there was all cows and chickens and shit in the kitchen.
Oh my lord,
that was my worst
nightmare.
Honestly, there's just stuff all over the countertops. It was mad.
Christ alive! I'm not signed up for that one.
We had someone who subtitled it and sent us the link. We could probably dig that out.
Yeah, we'll send it. We'll send it to you.
I'd like to see that. That sounds hilarious.
They moved into a completely overgrown, desolate Big Brother house.
There was like a bull in there.
And
how did you feel when and an ostrich? Yeah, how did you feel when Emma told you that Big Brother had been cancelled? Did that sort of take the shine off things? Probably not.
No, well, it did but I felt bad because I was very. I felt bad because obviously I was disappointed because I was really hoping that it was going to continue. So obviously then she threw it. She didn't throw it. That's the wrong choice of words. But she sort of said it to me in the thing, and I didn't want to look ungrateful for the fact that I'd just been voted the winner. I'm the last ever winner. I'm the youngest winner. I've just won 100 grand. But inside, I was really disappointed because I was thinking, oh great, so there's no more Big Brother. Like the last series I can watch has got me in it, so I'm gonna have to actually watch myself. Do you know what I mean? So I was really upset, but I didn't want to come across too upset because I didn't want it to come across. That's my whole overthinking thing, which I did in the house all the time. That's literally what I was doing there. So I don't know how it looked on television, but no, I was genuinely disappointed, and I am genuinely disappointed. I just hope that it can find a home where it is actually loved and not treated like. Oh no, I probably can't say that because I'm still technically under contract for next week. But I think you can imagine where I was going with that. You might hear my true opinions in a week regarding that. But anyway.
But this series, they actually did a really good job with it. Like the tasks thing. We had it such fun to watch. I don't know how you found it actually being in there.
Oh, it's fantastic. It was very old school Big Brother.
Yeah.
It was the tasks were fantastic. The task team did such an incredible job. Yeah. Obviously, the chicken task was very retro. All the shopping tasks were fantastic. The Bitcoin twist was very, very good. They didn't overproduce the series. They let stuff unfold naturally, which is really good, and that's what we all wanted coming into the series. And obviously, the casting was fantastic. Obviously, I'd say really the casting was fantastic because I was on. But the casting, I talk about the other housemates. Obviously, it was fantastic. Really real people. Nobody from X on the Beach or anywhere else like that. Just real people, real lives, real stories. And I think that correlated on the screen. And I'm so glad. That's the one thing I was so glad. I spoke about it all the time. I was really worried whether the series was going to become across boring, whether it wasn't going to become across well. So I was just praying that super fans like yourselves were enjoying the show and were finding it entertaining. So it's brilliant to know that we did produce. I mean, we didn't act any different. We were just being ourselves. But by being ourselves, we did produce a really good show. And it wasn't us producing the show. They produced a fantastic show with the tasks and stuff like that. But no, it's fantastic from the inside. And it really did feel very, very old school Big Brother from the inside. It was fantastic to be a part of.
Do you have a standout favourite task that you enjoyed to take part in the most?
Well, looking back, I hated the plane task.
Yeah,
Oh, it
Looking
was
back,
so good to
what
watch.
a brilliant task!
amazing.
What a brilliant task!
It's so good.
If I had to pick one that I really enjoyed, probably the Doers and Thinkers. Me, Akeem, and Lewis had such fun. We were winding
with
each
the
other up all
brains.
day. Oh, it was brilliant.
Room. But inside that brain room, we got to go in the Camerons on the final and have a look at you sitting in the corner.
Yeah, we saw you through the window in the final.
Oh, really? What, in the kitchen? We were in the kitchen.
Yeah, we were peeking through the window at you.
Near the checkerboard table.
Oh, right. That's it's very weird when because you obviously people are very, very quiet, but you know that there are people walking around. It's a very odd feeling. Like at night when you hear people like walking and whispering and stuff, it's very unsettling. You don't know whether it's the ghost or whether it's
the ghost. Come on, Cameron, that ghost shit was fake. Admit it.
I swear to you, there's something in there. That house is. There's nobody can convince me otherwise. Something touched me. Something tickled me. And like I say, the most unsettling thing about it all was it looked like Lewis F. It actually looked like, when I looked across, it had the hair of Lewis F. Because that's what scared me more than anything else. Because then I looked back and Lewis F was sitting there in bed asleep.
Well, rather Lewis F than Lewis G, eh?
Well, yeah, probably. But no, Lewis is a good guy, actually, to be fair. He's a really nice guy. He wasn't that difficult to live with.
Really?
No one was difficult to live with, even Hussein. He was very easy to live with. He's very, obviously, he came in as the king, I'm the king and stuff like that. But he was easy to live with, and I found middle ground with him. And Lewis G was very easy to live with. He was really sweet as well. They didn't really... I had a conversation with him. I was basically, obviously, I was an emotional wreck the whole series, to be honest. But I was crying on the... I think it was like day 6, day 7 or something, under the bed, not under the bed because you couldn't get under the bed, but in the bed type thing, but trying to do it discreetly because I didn't want to make a scene, because I don't know what I was getting emotional about. God knows why. I didn't. Probably apples or something. But basically, he sort of obviously noticed it and picked it up, and then we had a really nice one-on-one conversation, and it went on for like 15-20 minutes, and obviously it was never going to be aired. He knew it was never going to be aired, so he weren't doing it for some sort of motive. No. It was really, really sweet. And there's a really, really nice guy in there. When you look past the whole 24/7 and, you know, I'm the G, he's a really, really nice guy. He's got a really good, nice stories, very interesting stories. Obviously had a very interesting childhood with his mum and dad in America and stuff like that. And obviously the jobs that they've got. So it's really, really interesting to see that. And although I wanted him...
We never get to hear that stuff anymore.
Well, that's what I mean. You don't hear the sort of personal side and the personal stories, but
there's no live feed, so we don't hear those conversations that don't make the edit. That's the problem.
Because they wanted live feed? Well, I say they wanted. I mean, Big Brother wanted live feed, and then obviously obviously we know who didn't want live feed. It's a shame, really, because there were a lot of conversations like that.
Who was there?
Yeah, well.
You don't have to comment on that. My opinion only.
Yeah, I just don't want to get myself sued out the $100,000 that I've won.
No, do not.
I do not want to be responsible for it either.
GB on Blast is going to bring Cameron down one way or another.
This was the plan all along, wasn't it? Get me on, get me sued. Oh dear.
Were there any moments that you've since realised weren't aired that you kind of wished were? I heard that an entire task was missed out of an edit.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the Doers and Thinkers thing. There was a massive task in the garden, because the problem with it was obviously that day was the whole day where we had the electric shock thing. We had me, Akeem and Lewis bickering and joking all day, because we genuinely were joking. I know it came across differently, but all three of us were joking. We then got in the hot tub. All three of us argued with each other, and then obviously they had the massive hot tub blow up.
Yeah.
So obviously the result of that was that the whole distangle task was cut out. What it was basically was there was like this massive, I don't know what you call it, like this massive wooden plaque thing in the garden, and it was wrapped around with these huge ropes. And then 4 housemates had to be blindfolded. Me, Lewis, and Akeem had to sit on like the kind of chairs that you get at like swimming pools, like where the lifeguards sit on. Massive chairs like that. We had massive things you talk for. I can't remember what they're called.
Megaphone.
That's it, megaphones. And the task went on for about half an hour. It was really funny. We were all shouting at each other. I was panicking, and Lewis was having a go at me. And Akeem was just, being Akeem, making a couple of comments here and there that were just really not helping the situation. Like, it was really ruining the task. I was ruining the task. Lewis was trying to do the task, but then he was getting annoyed with me and Akeem, and that was ruining the task. So it was actually quite a funny task. So I can't believe that weren't seen.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's one of the things that did get edited out.
You would have thought they edited that together, like 5-minute segment for bots or something. They couldn't fit.
You would think so. I mean, a bit of a waste of whoever created that task and made all those props and stuff like that must be really pissed off because it didn't even make the edit. But no, it was probably one of the best tasks of the whole show. Actually, I think personally, I really enjoyed it. And everyone who wasn't even there was about 3 people who weren't involved who were to watch it, and they were having a whale of a time.
It looked like they put a lot of effort into building the tasks this year. Like a lot of the things were custom made. They had to like build assault courses and shit like that. They really went for it.
Oh Christ, the props are incredible, and I'm so glad it all looked really good on telly because it looked really good in real life. And like you say, even the little mini tasks, because there was a lot of effort and thought that went into it. I mean, that Halloween, I haven't seen the Halloween episode yet. I don't really want to because apparently I was incredibly embarrassing. But the graveyard, I mean, it looks stunning, absolutely.
It did look good. It did look good.
You know, and all it's just absolutely fantastic. The tasks were fantastic, but the props and everything. And the way everything was set up, and the setup was just incredible. It really was, and you really appreciate. And as a fan of the show, now I can really appreciate just the amount of effort that goes into to making a little task that goes for maybe 5 minutes of television time, and it's like days spent planning it and preparing it and setting it up. It's absolutely incredible the work that goes into the show. It's unbelievable, and when you see it from the inside, you really do get that appreciation of it. More than I could have ever got from just watching it. And obviously you guys have seen stuff with the cameras and stuff like that. When you actually see it and see the house, it is, I mean, you guys know it's quite insane to just see the house from, I mean, you've been in the house, both of you, haven't you?
Yeah.
In like a that whole super fan meetup thing with, I saw that. It's just surreal being in there, is it? None of it feels real. It's just amazing.
So did you get to watch Celebrity Big Brother before you went in?
We weren't allowed to watch that. We went into hiding on Thursday. They've said I could talk about the hiding process because the show's ended, so I'm not breaking any rules here. We went into hiding on Thursday, the Thursday like about a week before the show, and then we were meant to go on lockdown. Pardon?
Before CBB, you mean?
Yeah. So it was before the final of CBB. Celebrity Big Brother was going on, but the final was Monday, and we went into hiding the Thursday before the final, if that makes sense.
Okay, so you were watch at home. They couldn't stop you watching at home.
No, they couldn't stop us watching at home, but we literally went in lockdown from Friday because obviously they apparently revealed some things that then made us so noticeable that random people in the street would notice us. So we had to then go in lockdown, and they told us that we were going to be in lockdown and we weren't going to be allowed to leave our cottages. They told us at 7:00 on Friday night that we had to go into lockdown by 9:00 on the Friday. So that didn't go down well with the chaperones and with the housemates. But yeah, no, I didn't even know who won. I did know who won because I knew who was going to win. I got the top 3 right. Just saying. But yeah, I think somebody in the house had obviously been told, because they said Ryan's definitely won. Just trust me. You know how people in there, when they know something, they don't say that they know it and someone's told them. It's like, trust me 100%, and it's you do follow. You jump to the conclusion, right? Okay, I understand what you're saying. So I knew he won, but we didn't get to see the final.
So you guys were all aware of washing machine, Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy the washing machine. I knew about Wendy the washing machine. I was disappointed that Wendy the washing machine never spoke to me. I was gutted.
I know.
If I went in the store room, I'd be like waiting for Wendy to come out.
Yeah.
First 3 days, that's literally what I did. Sometimes I just went in the store and just hung out in the store for like 10 minutes, just waiting for her to come on and start the lights and start talking. But it didn't happen.
It's the same. Only Sean to talk to Wendy, wasn't it? In the end,
Sean and Brooke, it was.
Yeah.
Did Kennelly speak? Because I only saw, the only thing I found out about was when I came out was the whole Sean and Brooke. So they waited until it. Wow. Yeah, it's quite a long time.
Yeah. But you did have Dirty Dave.
Yeah, Dirty Dog. That was probably my favourite task.
That was really well done. Really well done.
Very, very fun. And like you say, extremely well done. And they were locked in there all day. And the locks and everything worked. I mean, I've nicked the keys, but they genuinely worked. They were the keys. Like, you couldn't get out. If I locked them in until obviously they took my keys, which I didn't realise about. They couldn't actually get out. But I was a disaster in that task. Absolutely. I was a disaster in most tasks, let's be honest.
Big Brother shat themselves when Lewis decided to show you the screen, though.
Did they?
They must have thought our task fucked because.
Because when he showed me the screen, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Because the funny thing is, I looked at the screen and it all dawned on me where I was, what was happening, and that oh my goodness, there are actually people that are watching us, because you don't forget, you do forget the camera. I know everyone says they forget the cameras there. You don't forget the cameras because you can see them. They're all around you. They're very visible. But you forget what they're actually there to do. You forget that they're recording you. You forget that they're actually going to then, some of it's going to then be put out to national television, and then a million people are going to watch it. So you do forget what's actually happening. But then when I saw it with my own eyes, it was like, oh my goodness, I'm actually here and this is actually happening. This is not some massive prank.
When Hussein and Isabella came in, did they give you any information from the outside world?
Obviously, Hussein's no, it wasn't Hussein. Isabella slipped up with the whole thing, but Akeem didn't pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he didn't pick up on that. I really don't.
You were cancelled or anything like that?
Isabella did get in trouble a couple times because she said a couple things to Lewis, because Lewis was talking to her in the bath, and he was talking about Kay, and he was saying, "Oh, I don't know whether I came across badly in that," and she went, "I really don't think you have anything to worry about that."
Okay, yeah.
So, but she didn't. But they really didn't give us that much. I mean, Hussein slipped up once in the kitchen when I was talking about football, and he basically told me that that Steve Bruce had been sacked, but that was about as much as Hussein did. Isabella was a little bit worse. The only thing we thought is whoever they attach themselves to, there might be some sort of inkling that type of thing. But I didn't. As soon as Hussein came after me and Lewis, because in my head I was not going to be very popular because the whole coming out thing, I thought people would have taken it the wrong way. I thought it was going to be hated by my family and friends. I thought the public were going to hate me. I thought it was all going to be terrible. So when he came after me, I thought, well, I thought Lewis F was going to be popular, but I thought, well, he can't be coming after me because I'm popular. He's just coming after people who he wants to come after. So, but obviously, what I didn't know is me and him were quite a popular. Well, we were quite a polarizing pair, let's be honest. But we did have quite a following on the outside as well. We didn't know that at the time. And Hussein said, he said to me in private message, he said, I came in, and as much as I liked you, Cameron, I wanted to break you and Lewis F up. I wanted you two to be head to head. And I think what he should have done in hindsight is when he had that mystery box that none of us had a clue about, he should have put me up for nomination. He should have nominated me. Lewis F would have been up anyway. And then he'd have had Hussein, Lewis F, and me head to head. It'd been the perfect team. But he let his whole vendetta against Lewis F get in the way of his actual game plan. And yes, it messed the house up even more because nobody had a clue who it was, because people thought, well, Hussein wouldn't pick Lewis F because that doesn't make sense. If he'd have picked me, it would have made total sense because he'd have been the only one that really would have done it. But he did. He let his personal vendetta get in the way of his game, and obviously it backfired massively, and he got booed out of the building, which was very when we heard those, because we heard those boos, they were intense, and that's when we all thought, because then Thomas got booed, and that shocked us because we thought Thomas was going to be loved, and he got massively booed, and we were all like, oh my goodness, none of us are safe, we're all going to get booed, we're all hated, the show's been cancelled, they're there because we've ruined the show, we've ended the series, what have we done? And we were all panicking about a public perception.
The super fans love Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Thomas.
I
think the casual viewer, that I think even the whole format, the more sort of game-oriented format with Bitcoins and game changers, I don't think it went down so well with the general viewers.
Really?
And yeah, I don't think so. But like super fans, that especially ones that watch international versions, we kind of appreciated it, what Big Brother were trying to do and introduce, and we appreciated Thomas for playing the game. But I still think public in general punish game players, which is sad.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. And the thing is, he wasn't the only one playing a game in there. He was just the only one open about playing a game in there. That was the difference.
Yeah, like you were playing a game, Cameron.
I know, I didn't. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I took none of the coins in most of the time. I hated the game thing. I always felt bloody bad about it. I got such a guilty conscience. I wasn't playing a game, but there were people playing.
I got one.
However,
go on, Gaz.
Did you not play knowing that it would reflect badly?
No, I did actually mention that in there. I said that to Brooke when we didn't take anything. I said, by not playing the game because we didn't want to, I said to her, we'd probably come across like we're playing the game because we're looking to come across as saints. But I said, at the end of the day, I didn't want to. I know it sounds ridiculous because unscrewing a few coins is not selling your soul. But in my brain, I was thinking, if I screw these things, and honest to God, I went to screw K's off. I was screwing K's off, and I was going, well, that's for the sly digs. And I was like, oh, no, I can't do it. I mean, a part of me wanted to, but I just couldn't do it because I didn't want to. What I didn't want it to do is change. I didn't want the game to change me, and it did in the first week a little bit with the whole thing when I went in and tried to make a deal with Akeem, Isaac, and Lewis G. And I just thought and that's where I thought, no, I don't want to. I'll play the game as much as I have to play the game because it is a game, but I want to be myself and I don't want to get lost in the game and start changing who I am. So that's why I just didn't bother. And I was aware of how it could come across, and I probably came across like I was looking to be some sort of saint. It genuinely wasn't, because it was funny. It's funny you said that because it's literally the conversation I had with Brooke. I said, and Brooke was like, well, I didn't understand the task anyway. So, I mean, I just didn't get it. I mean, she said, I'd have taken some if I'd understood the game. And I was like, well, we have probably come across like we did that deliberately to look good. But that's just the way it is at the end of the day. It's impossible you can't justify everything that you do in there. You just do things. I just did. It's like with the mystery box. Part of me really wanted to bid because I could have won it 100% because I was top. And I wanted to make sure Lewis, because we all thought in our heads that was going to be a Vict on the spot. In our heads, that's what we all thought. So I thought if it's a Vict on the spot and a Sane gets it, Lewis F is absolutely fine. Yeah. And most of the house didn't like Lewis F at that point. So the majority of people that would get that box would screw him over. So I thought the only way I can guarantee his safety is by doing it. But I was sitting in there and I was debating about doing it. And in the end, I thought, and I think I said something like, I don't want this game to change who I am as a person. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's so intense in there. It feels like if I writ one on that paper, that I was selling my soul to the devil, as ridiculous as that sounds. I just couldn't bring myself to do it, even though it's a game, even though it's a bloody mystery box. It doesn't really make much difference at all. Still didn't bloody do it. It's pathetic, really, in hindsight, because then obviously he was killer nominated. But
we were fuming with you because we thought you'd screwed Lewis F over there by not doing that. Because when Hussein got the box, we were going no. But then luckily that week it didn't matter, and we were pleased that you evicted Isabella. We thought it was the fair thing to do because you'd not been in as long.
Oh, it's awful though, because one of my worst nightmares, there was like 2-3 things I really didn't want to happen when I went in there. One was the whole coming out thing. I didn't want to be outed in the house. That was one of my big fears when I went in. There was another thing that I was worried about on the outside before I went in. And then the third thing was evicting someone on the spot. So then obviously when I had the power, and as soon as they said that you're immune, I thought, well, this is too good to be true. And obviously, luckily, and Akeem feels like it was written in the stars, because obviously Lewis F got saved in the Game Changer. Otherwise, I'd have saved him over Isabella or Akeem. And that's just, and everyone knew that I would save Lewis F for anyone.
Lewis saved himself in the dominoes.
Oh, it was the key thing. It was the little key thing.
Oh, the padlocks.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
and he went like that when he went.
Oh Christ! I can't believe when he did that. But then I knew 100% that what I was going to have to do, and I couldn't. Number one, I'd nominated Isabella in quick nominations anyway, because I think I nominated Isabella and Sean. I don't know why I nominated Sean. God's honest truth, I don't know what I was doing. It was just one of those things where I just couldn't think straight. I thought, I don't know what to do. I had like 3 names, and I thought, who am I least closest to? And I was like, Sean, and I said it. So I do. That's the one nomination I do regret. But obviously, I hadn't put Akeem up. So if I stood there and evicted Akeem, it would have looked like I was evicting him because I thought it was popular with the public. Obviously, Isabella went out and said that I evicted Lewis because I was jealous of her relationship with Lewis. Which is not true whatsoever. And again, if it came across like that, it came across like that. You can't defend everything you do in there. At the end of the day, people.
Exactly.
It wasn't that. It was just that I'd known her for 2 weeks. I'd known Akeem for 6 weeks, and our relationship was really going well. Mine and Akeem's after we'd nominated each other like 10 times. It was actually improving. Whereas my relationship with her hadn't even got started.
Akeem was so nervous as though he was shaking. Bless him.
Oh, he was an absolute mess. An absolute mess, because he was up most weeks. He thought this was 1 week where he wouldn't be up. All of a sudden, he's up again. And it's now a case of I'm standing there and I literally have his fate in my hands.
Exactly.
And I hate, as a fan of the show, when another housemate evicts another house. It really pisses me off.
Yeah.
So I was frustrated with the show. I was frustrated with myself because I knew what I was going to have to do. And I knew how much I would hate it if I was watching it from the outside. But no, I don't really think. I know obviously Isabella was always going to hold a little bit of, and I totally understand it. I ended her experience. It's totally understandable. But I do. No, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to be bitchy. But the way she acted.
Come on, she wasn't that interesting.
I'll say it because all I find funny is obviously I came out the house and I heard that she'd obviously been talking quite a lot of crap about me, which is fair enough because I evicted her. That's fine. And saying it was because I was jealous of Lewis, which is a load of bullshit. But anyway. Then the first person that comes up to hug me when I've won, as soon as I'm near the cameras, the paparazzi, is Isabella. Which I don't know. Maybe there's nothing to that, but it just looked a little bit forced. I've got the money. Maybe she knows I was feeling bad. I don't know. But it just felt a little bit fake. But there we go. You've got something there. You've got it out of me.
Yeah, we didn't do much to get that out of you. To be honest,
you didn't. I got it out of myself. Let's be honest.
Reflecting on that night. I know you said you were becoming friends with Akeem at that point anyway. Do you think in retrospect, like eliminating a threat like Akeem would have been a stronger game move? Because Isabella, she was nothing to anyone, was she really?
Well, obviously I knew Akeem. In my head, Akeem was going to win the show, and that from pretty early on. But I thought to myself, I can't stand it and evict somebody because I think that it's going to help me. I can't bring myself. I mean, for Christ's sake, I couldn't bid one for the mystery box just in case no one else bid it. I couldn't screw a coin off Kay, who for the whole week had been going, "Get me out! Where's the fire exit?" Shut up, Kay. It was doing my head in when she did that. Really does annoy me when people do that. So I couldn't even do that, let alone evict Akeem based off of the fact that I thought that he was a threat. I couldn't do it. I mean, it didn't even cross my mind, to be honest with you. Did you not? Game plan wise, it would have been smart to do that, I guess. But I would have never have done it, even knowing what I know now. Still, never ever would I have evicted Akeem, because that's just not. I know it sounds so cringe, it sounds pathetic, but that's just not the person I am. It's not. Never would have wanted to do that.
I believe you. I fully think you've been so genuine with all these answers. So,
thank you.
Do you think that? Sorry, Gaz. Carry on complimenting Cameron.
No, you don't need any more fucking compliments.
I know. Do you think that if Lewis F would have stayed in, he would have had a good chance of him?
Oh, definitely. I think me and him would have. I didn't know at the time, and I'm not saying this because I thought I was going to be in the top 2. But knowing what I know now, I think me and him would have been in the top 2, and then it would just be a case of it would. I think he probably would have won, but I think he was getting to a point where he's being. And I love him to bits, but he was getting a bit. He was overthinking everything, and I don't know how he'd have been in those last 2 weeks. We never truly know what would have happened. But yes, he could have. I think would have been top 2, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that would have been a brilliant top 2.
Oh yeah, and if we were top 2, it would have just been the perfect way for us on a very selfish personal level.
Yeah,
it would have been so perfect, because I genuinely would have been, and I would have been happy if Akeem would have won. Do not get me wrong, but I've genuinely been very, very happy if Lewis would have won. And I'm definitely going to be. We're going to go traveling together, me and Lewis. He's not going to. I'm going to make sure he's looked after and that he's okay and everything's going well with him. Because he'd have done exactly the same for me. I know for a fact he would have done. So I haven't seen him yet, but I will be seeing him very, very soon. And yeah, we're going to be going traveling, and I'll make sure he's looked after and his family's and everybody's okay, because it was amazing to me in there. It was honestly, I mean, obviously you'd got to see most of it on television, but we were so close in there. I've never met. So honestly, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I do view him as a brother, and he views me as a brother, and it really is that family bond. And even when we were arguing, it was that brotherly arguments. I never had a brother, but we were arguing the toss with each other. We'd fall out. I hadn't spoke to him for 5 days, even though it was 1 day. But it was all. That's just what it was, and it was because we were so close, and we always came back together, and we were always fine with each other. And I'm so grateful that I got to. I mean, never in a billion years would I expected to go in there and have a friendship like I did with Thomas, and a brotherhood like I did with Lewis. It's unbelievable.
It was very emotional watching his Instagram live where he was watching you win and he was crying. That was really heartbreaking. It was really sweet.
I know. I cried my eyes out when I saw that, because obviously I really would have loved him to have been there at the rap party and to see it all. But to see him reacting like that was no. I cried again, but it's me. It's inevitable.
Can I ask you something for the girls and for the gay guys? Does Lewis F look as good in real life as he does on TV?
This is the God's honest truth. And you won't believe it, but he actually looks better in real life. Honestly, it's insane. Because, I mean, he looks great on television, but he looks even better in real life.
Wow.
Yeah, so what you see is what you get, but there's a little bit more as well.
We love Lewis F.
Lynsey has been obsessed. She's been an absolute fucking nightmare.
Can you get him to bring out a calendar? I need a Lewis for every day of the month, please.
Yeah, a Lewis F calendar next year. Yeah. Well, just a Lewis calendar. Forget the F.
Yes.
He didn't like the F.
Fuck Lewis G. We don't want him in it.
No, we've seen plans.
We see more of him than we wanted to.
Oh, goodness gracious me, I saw that too. Oh no, what was that all about? I was getting, at one point, I think people thought that me and Lewis G had done something at the rap party.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Is there any gossip from the rap party you got to tell us?
I didn't know anything. I mean, when Luke A obviously said about that there were 2 people that had obviously, we know what. That's it. And obviously then people were saying Lewis G and me, Kian and me, and Luke A kept going, one correct. So people in their head had got it that it was me and Lewis. There was me and Lewis G. So then obviously I quote retweeted it and went, no, I can confirm it wasn't me, but apparently it was Kian and Lewis G. How true that story is, I do not know. But that is what Luke A confirmed.
I hadn't heard that. Oh my God, Kian, you could be better, mate.
I haven't heard anything. I mean, that would have been one way. If I'd have actually done that with Lewis G, that would have been one way to kind of that would have been coming out again. I would have come out for the 53rd time.
You'd want to go back in again after that.
No, but Lucy's a good guy, don't get me wrong, but that story shook me. It shook me when I see that, because I mean, I didn't hear any about that. That was unbelievable.
That was, well, there were two parties, no? There was the immediate party on the finale, and then a sort of all Big Brother encompassing rap party where all contestants from previous years went to, right?
I don't know. Is it because it was such a crazy night? I don't quite know what's happening. I was talking to the medics. I had loggers coming up to me saying that they'd logged me all day, and I was like, oh Christ, I apologise for my moaning and being miserable and talking so quick. And then Emma and Rylan came and grabbed me and like ran me onto the dance floor and got me dancing. And then there were a lot of speeches because it was a very obviously emotional night, because obviously it was the end of Big Brother. So Paul Osborne, obviously the exec producer for this show, really, really nice guy, such a nice guy in real life, and loves the show. We met him. He's brilliant. Yeah. Isn't he? Really does love the show. To be honest with you,
he is Big Brother, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Before this series, he invited all the super fans to the house and basically interviewed us to ask us what we wanted to see in the series. It was so cool.
Was that him who did that? Settle that interview up? Because obviously I saw that interview because I saw some of you and a couple of other I think what they're called, but a couple of other tweeters were tweeting about different things that come from it. And so that's brilliant. No, but he is such a great guy in real life. He really, really is. And he was obviously doing a little speech, and it was getting a bit emotional. Rylan and Emma were crying. People were crying because obviously it was the end of. Well, we hope obviously it's not the end of the road, because I think hopefully somebody else picks it up. Whether it be Netflix would be an interesting one.
That would be.
Because I don't know how that would all work with the whole online streaming. Is very different, obviously. To that, I don't think there'd be a live feed with Netflix. They could be, and I don't know how it would work with the public on Netflix as well. That's the only thing I was thinking. It could be more American style. So. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think that this is the last Big Brother. I mean, I really hope. As much as I'm honoured to be the last ever winner, I really don't want to be the last ever winner. And that's the God's honest truth.
Fair enough.
I do think it could do with a bit of a rest, though.
18 months. Give it 18 months. 2020. Bring it back. New channel that actually cares about it, gives it the time and love that it deserves.
A new house.
A new house, yeah. You know, but I mean, the team fantastic. If they could try and keep that team together wherever they go, because I mean, the welfare team's amazing. It's unbelievable. They are the most incredible people. The getting in team to get you in the house is extraordinary, because you know, I was panicking, worrying about stupid things. I mean, little things that you never have to worry about in your normal day life, but then you're going on television like, shit, what if somebody says this, or what if, and you're just panicking about everything. But they're so great at just calming you down. The chaperones are incredible, and they make sure they pick the perfect one for every person, and there's no personality clashes with that. And then when you're in there, obviously the support, they're in the diary room, they're incredible, because obviously they can't tell you anything, they can't say anything, and they stick to that 100%. They don't tell you anything, but what they can do is they ask you the questions that allow you to work through things, and they're so incredibly helpful in there. They're wonderful, and they'll be different, and they always seem to know. And it's weird because there's different Big Brother voices, you know, but there's certain voices that if you're feeling a certain way, you'd rather speak to, if you know what I mean. And it seemed like every time that they called you to the diary room, they had the perfect Big Brother there for that mood that you were in. And if you were ever down or emotional, which is me probably 24/7 in there, they always picked it up, and they would always call you there. And it honestly felt like you were being looked after, and they didn't want any harm to come to you.
I actually think that came across in the show this year as well. It did feel that Big Brother was looking out for housemates a bit more, and especially the Irish female Big Brother.
Oh, she was unbelievable.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. She was one of my favourite. The funny thing is, because we always used to say, oh, this is my favourite Big Brother, or this is my favourite. But for me, every time I went in there, and it looked like I'd probably bum licking them, and I was trying to, please edit me well. But it wasn't that. But it was every time you go in there and you speak to a Big Brother, you'd come out and you think, oh, they're my favourite. And then you'd go in the next time, and you'd have a great chat, and you think, oh, they're my favourite. And you think, Christ alive. And you just kept saying it. And I was thinking to myself, they must be listening to this thinking, what an absolute disingenuous prick, saying that we're all his favourite, when actually he doesn't really like any of us. But no, it was fun.
Does the name Marsha the Moose mean anything to you? Marsha the Moose.
Marsha the Moose.
Well, Cameron, you gotta get with he's got time to watch it now, so
I haven't seen that.
So you had a producer working on the show this year from Canada, and he voices the kind of Tree of Temptation, Wendy the Washing Machine equivalent from the Canada House, which is called Marsha the Moose.
Right.
You need to start watching. You need to start watching Big Brother Canada.
Because obviously I met the Big Brother Canada voice at the rap party.
Trevor.
Really again, he's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah. You need to watch Big Brother Canada, and you'll see him as Marshall the Moose on Big Brother Canada.
I definitely. That's exactly what I'm going to do when we finish this. I'm going to go and look at Marshall the Moose. Marshall the Moose, is it?
Marshall.
Marshall
Honestly,
the Moose.
Just look it up on YouTube, and you'll hear his voice is exactly the same.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
Honestly, it's funny.
I'll definitely watch that when I finish here. That's funny.
You got anything else, Gaz?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about how it felt going after following Roxanne Gate, because that was huge. Did you feel like more pressure, like more focus? You must have been shitting it.
Well, when obviously I saw it all unfold on the thing, obviously my parents were watching it and they knew I was going in, and they were like, what is stopping somebody in there doing the same thing to you? And I said, well, you've got to trust with the way that obviously Big Brother dealt with the whole celebrity situation with Roxanne and how fairly they represented it. There's cameras in there. They did. Granted, I think she should have been kicked out, but they dealt with it well, and they did give a fair reflection. The public, they let the public make their mind up, even though I think they should have removed her. But they did allow, and it all worked out well, and Ryan didn't get portrayed in any way that was other than the truth. So it gave me comfort the way that they dealt with it. But yeah, a part of you was thinking, Christ, what if there's somebody like that in there that tries to say something or something like that? Because you are on national television. Somebody only needs to say one thing, and that can be it. Your not just your experience, but your life on the outside can be massively affected. You might not be able to get a job, you might lose friends, you might lose family, all through somebody saying a complete and utter lie. So I've got to be honest with you, it did shit me up watching it and how big it was and the media storm that it's created. And obviously I knew celebrity's bigger than Big Brother, but at the same time I did think to myself, Christ, I am going into this and I have to accept that stuff like this could happen. So no, it shit me up. I wish it wouldn't have happened the series before, like a couple of weeks before we were going in. That's just the way it felt.
You don't want an interview. You don't want an interview where Emma's looking at you like that, do you?
Oh, what an interview that was! Absolutely brilliant. She nailed that interview so perfectly; it was unbelievable. And the way she ended it, as soon as Roxanne starts crying, that's absolutely brilliant. The highlight of the whole celebrity series, in my opinion. Yeah. Top 5 Big Brother moments right there. With, taking the earpiece out, absolutely loved it.
So, what are you going to spend your $100,000 on, Cameron?
I don't want to waste it, so I'm going to try and invest it. I think I'm going to put like probably 80-90 grand aside, and try and build a future for myself, and obviously hopefully get a house at some point and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm going to go and do stuff that I've always wanted to do, like WrestleMania, possibly a Chelsea season ticket, go on a holiday to Italy with Thomas, do a bit of traveling with Lewis. Because I want to have a little bit of fun with it, but the majority of it is going to go to investing and making sure that I'm also going to get a microphone as well. Probably a new laptop as well while I'm at it, because this one doesn't seem to be working. So yeah, just stuff like that. Might go out and get a new wardrobe, because I think I do need one. Maybe a few.
Isn't Lewis F going to take you out to get some outfits?
Yes, Lewis F. Well, Thomas did say about taking me out, but I don't know whether mine and his fashion might be a little bit different. So I might go with Lewis on this one. So yeah, I think I need a new wardrobe.
Yeah, I think Chris has got the upper hand on the style there.
I agree.
I like a nightie, but not for day wear.
The fashion choices in that house were very unique. From not just me, Thomas. I mean, even Kennelly used to put on some stuff that were quite you wouldn't expect it. But I mean, it looked great on her. Don't get me wrong. I mean, she could wear anything; it looked fantastic. But yeah, some of the. I mean, Lewis G used to walk around in the shortest swim trunks I've ever seen, with his shirt out with 24/7 on. And obviously Isaac, loved dressing up when it came to parties with stuff that was. He used to put on stuff that was very revealing of obviously what he had down below. Which
we noticed that.
That we all got to see. So I think fashion was very interesting in the house this year. I think that was a very, very interesting part of the show. You never knew what you were going to get.
Where was Isaac at the final? Or don't you know?
I don't 100%
you know, but you can't say.
No, I've heard some rumours, but I don't know how true they are. So I'm happy to tell you off this, but I don't want to put it out there because I don't 100% know whether they're true. They're only rumours. If I did know 100%, then of course. But
fair enough.
I'll tell you after. But
we don't like to gossip on BB on Blast.
And that's the thing, and it is gossip because I don't know 100%. I really don't know 100%.
Have we missed questions off of our list?
Well, I've been looking. What are you going to do after you've sort of frittered your money away, Cameron? Are you going to go to university and get a job? What are your kind of?
You sound like my mum.
What are your like future aspirations of what you want to do with your life?
Get a job after Big Brother. No one wants you.
Yeah, no, I'm not actually as important as anyone would think I am. I'm really not. It's obviously it's not going to change.
I can tell by the fact you're talking to us on a Monday night.
No, I really wanted to speak to you. I had to cancel another radio thing. But I mean, I probably should have said that on here, but because I made up some emergency lie, which I should have done.
They won't watch this. Don't worry.
Hopefully they don't watch. But no, I think I'm going to do. Pardon?
Who was that with? Like a notebook radio station?
No, it wasn't. It was with what they called. To be honest with you, no offense, I'd never heard of them before. It wasn't a particularly big one. It wasn't
like
a local
BB on Blast.
No, but it was like an online radio type thing. So it wasn't that big. I mean, I think we rescheduled, so it's fine. I can't remember I can't even remember what the question was. Sorry.
What are you doing next? Basically?
What are you going to do with your life?
Doing next? Yeah, what I'm actually going to do with my life. I don't know. I think me and Thomas talking about a podcast.
We do the podcast down there.
Yeah, but yeah, true. I mean, you can come on. You be a guest if you want.
Yeah. We love Thomas. We'd love to.
We're gonna do a little podcast together. I think I might go back to doing YouTube, not the way that I did it before.
I should hope not.
But in a different way, for good, and to try and help people out with different things. So that's really what I want to do. I want to try and make a difference for good going forward with sexuality and stuff like that. But not even just that, but mental health and showing your emotions and stuff like that. Because I embarrassed myself on television for 53 days with being emotionally, ridiculous. So but I think it is good to show your emotions, especially with men as well. It's a massive thing with men not being able to show their emotions. So I'd like to do that and to do some good with YouTube and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm just going to see what opportunities may or may probably not arise from this. And then if in the new year there's not lots happening and the YouTube thing's not really picking up and I can't make a living of it, obviously I'm going to have to try and think of some sort of career. I don't really want to do a career or some sort of job, and just I don't know. I'm still undecided. But one thing, what I am happy about is when I went in, I really I'd given up with life. To be honest with you, I just didn't really care about life. Didn't want to live. Sounds so dramatic, but it kind of was the case. But Big Brother gave me such a spirit for life, and even though maybe I don't still know what I want to do 100%, I have got the spirit and the fight to actually try and find it and actually do something. So I'll be ever so grateful for the opportunity and for everybody who voted and supported me, because literally the show has changed my life, and that's why it's such an incredible show. It can literally change your life. And in 53 days, I've grown as a person with the help of the housemates. I've got more confidence. I've been able to express myself. Obviously, I came out as well. It has dramatically changed my life for the better. And it has given me that fight and that spirit for life back. And it's something I never thought I'd get back. So I'm so grateful. And I just don't want to waste it. I don't want it to be this time next year me going, I won Big Brother last year, but I've actually done nothing and I've lost that spirit that I won back, because it wouldn't be right, because it would be everybody and the opportunity that I've been given, that so many people would give anything to be in the position that I'm in now. I owe it to everybody who supported me, voted me, got me to that point, to actually do something with my life and to do good with it.
It was really touching, actually, even for my hardened heart, after going boo in the crowd when your dad came up, when your mum and dad came up on stage and cuddled you. That was really.
Yeah, no, that was an amazingly emotional, because I honestly didn't think my mum would come down, because obviously I've got a little sister who's 5, just started school and stuff like that, and I just didn't think that she'd come down. So when I saw her, and then my aunt was there, my cousin, and her boyfriend, and obviously a couple of them didn't know about the whole coming out thing. So the fact that they were there, I was like, oh, thank goodness. There's 2 family members that don't hate me. And then they came on, and obviously I was already crying. But then when I saw them, I obviously lost the plot. And it just doesn't feel real. Like, it genuinely didn't feel real what was happening. It's such an utter, the only way I can describe it is a total whirlwind, but it was such a wonderful moment. I'm so glad that they got to experience that moment with me, because they've been so supportive, and with obviously everything that I threw at them throughout the series, you know, being an emotional wreck, it was an emotional roller coaster for them as well. So they're the most incredibly supportive family. Like I say, reading that diary and hearing my nan and my aunt and my cousins and stuff like that, and reading the messages of when I came out and what they were saying. I should never, and I never doubted their support, to be honest with you. I just doubted myself. And I wish now in hindsight I would have been able to give them all their letters that I wrote. It's the one regret that I have, is that I didn't give them the letters that I wrote. They're all still sitting there, and I guess I could still give it to them, but I wish they could have found out not like that. But they've been so incredibly supportive, and I'll be forever grateful for having such a loving family, because, you know, we do take family and friends for granted, and we really shouldn't, because not everybody does have such a loving and supportive family, and mine have been absolutely incredible.
That's good.
So, Cameron, I know you just said everyone's been incredibly supportive. Has anyone had any difficulty so far, or not?
Regarding the coming out thing? No, I mean, friends have been amazingly supportive. Family, granddads, nans, grandparents, because grandparents you always do worry about, just because older generation, stuff like that. But they've been amazing. Aunts, uncles, like I say, cousins that you would think, in my head I was thinking may have an issue with it, may be awkward, amazingly supportive, lovely messages that they've been sending me. So I can't, it's been incredible. I never ever would have expected the support and the positive response that I've got, and I'm just so thankful that I've got that, because not everybody does get that response when they do it. So the fact that I've got it is absolutely amazing. And like I say, the fact that my family and my friends are supportive, and I've helped so many people out as well without even meaning to, it weighs out the people that think it was a game, or think that it was fake, or that I'd already come out. It outweighs that totally, and makes it all kind of worth it.
And also, in my experience, you can try and hide these things, but they always find their way out eventually. Even if you don't. Mine came out on the day of a funeral.
Oh no! Oh goodness!
By a Christmas card that had been written to me and my boyfriend at the time, which was read by my auntie, and I was like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "About that." So yeah,
that's a unique
story.
Out eventually, yeah.
I think that's about it, isn't it?
I think we've had Cameron on for about an hour, so I feel
thank you, Cameron. Thank you so much. Especially the other night when you messaged us at like 2 a.m. and I was like, he ain't gonna come on, and I was like, that's rubbish. And you were like, no, I really want to come on. I was like, bollocks, he's just playing a trick on us. And especially when you were listening, and I've been going well hard on the other podcast, I was like, oh fuck. I was like, he's not gonna come on. So it's very good of you to come on, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. You don't have to apologise about anything you've said. It's Big Brother. I knew what I signed up for. I knew how things could come across, and I totally respect. Obviously, feel like I have different opinions and stuff like that. I just hope now that you obviously spoke to me and I've explained things, that maybe it's given you a little bit more of an idea of what happened and what went on.
I've definitely warmed to you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Cameron now for life.
You have to follow me on Twitter again now, Cameron.
I will. I'm sorry. I genuinely didn't unfollow you. That would have been my favourite.
No, but I don't blame your family for following me.
So tell us about the hair.
Oh yeah.
The hair.
Yeah. Come on, show us it.
Yeah, it needs sort of.
Straight it.
Well, it's just kind of naturally done that. But no, I keep saying I'm getting the perm tomorrow. I've been saying this since I came out the house, and it hasn't happened.
You can afford it.
I'm going to get it tomorrow.
Who's advised you to get this perm? Brooke?
Myself.
Our boys have now. We spoke about this on the pod the other day. Like,
I've never heard of a guy having a perm. Is this a new thing?
I didn't even know what one was, to be honest with you. And then they said about it, and I was like, I wish, because I think they curled it, and I said, oh, this is really annoying, because I really like how it looks. The hair, obviously, not the face, but the hair. And I want it to be like that permanently. But how do I go about that? And they said, well, you can get a perm, and that will keep it there, not permanently. You have to get it done every so often.
Yeah.
But, so that's the first I've really heard of it. So yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Probably mess my hair up, but it will all fall out. But can't look a lot worse than it currently does now.
Make sure you go to a reputable place, not some place where you come out looking like an old granny with a purple ring.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back to Brooke's Butchered salon again. But no, she did do a really good job, to be fair.
She did. thought it was a good look, and it actually
You liked
transformed you. I liked it a lot. I was like, he could be a top man model with that look.
Well, I don't know about that, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it nonetheless. But I think it was some people loved it, some people hated it, which is. But no, I really liked it. I think it made me look older. I think it yeah. So I've got to get it done. I've got to get it done because this is horrific. I can't walk around with the hood up all the time. It's, first and foremost, it's rude, and second of all, it just looks ridiculous.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Cameron.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you both because I was big fans of you before. This might sound weird, but I genuinely was. So to come on the podcast is just another crazy thing to add to the list of crazy things that have happened in the last couple of months. And I really appreciate it as well. Obviously, I know you had your opinions about me. That's like I say, totally fair enough. But to actually listen to my side of the story, I really do appreciate that. And to give me the chance to actually, get my viewpoint across, I really, really appreciate that.
We said that during the podcast. We said if Cameron wants to come on, we'll totally hear him out. We never said he thought he would. So,
so I shocked you. I surprised you.
Yeah, you did. That was pretty cool. Okay, should we wrap up?
Yeah, but next we need him to hook us up with Lewis F, isn't it? That's what you want.
Oh yeah, please get us Lewis F.
I will
We'll do
try
anything.
my best. I will try my best to see whether I can get Lewis F on a podcast with you because I think that would be a very, very interesting chat, as he likes to say.
Oh my god.
No holds barred. He wouldn't be worried about any contracts or anything like that. He'd be saying anything. So I will do my best to try and get him on. I will put in a good word for you both. And,
thank you, Cameron.
Tomas round to be on the sofa with us, but he wanted me to be his daddy, and I got a little bit worried about it.
We nearly got him around here.
I think you should be concerned. No, I'm joking.
He said it might be a bit more tempted if there's a daddy there that fancies me, he said. And I'd met him at the studio before, and I'm not really a daddy, and Lynsey's a straight girl. And he went, oh, but you are a daddy. I was like, okay.
Okay, great. Trust Thomas to make a situation awkward. No, he's funny.
One more question. Did you have a good night out with him last week? You went out in London with him, right?
I didn't go out in the night, but I met him the next day because I left my shoes. I literally went in AstroTurf, so I thought I can't go out in the middle of London in the middle of the night in Nike AstroTurf. So I met him the next day. No, we went to McDonald's as you do. Just had a nice McDonald's and then a chat. And obviously I came back. I spoke to him actually just before I came on here. I was speaking to him for about an hour on the phone. So we're just talking about different things and where we're going to go from here. So no, he's doing really, really well. And I'm so glad. Like I say, you'd never honestly expect to make connections like I made in there. And I made, a real good friendship and a good best friend in him. And then obviously a brother in Lewis. It's just another thing, another bonus, something you just don't expect. But wonderful to be able to make those connections because it is so intense. And you are there for 53 days together and the connections are very, very strong. And I'm glad that the connections were genuine as well because they're continuing now. We're on the outside. No one's kind of, Thomas hasn't stopped, ignored me and blocked me or anything like that. So no, it's nice to know that what you saw with me and Thomas and me and Lewis was genuine there and that there was actually a bond there.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Thank you so much, Cameron.
You're welcome.
Follow Cameron on Twitter as if you're not already. What's your Twitter, Cameron?
I think it's ccole_99.
Is that your nice one or your nasty one?
That's my nice one.
Follow me on Twitter, light up VM. You follow me, Cameron.
Yes, I will. I will follow you back. I apologise for everyone following you.
That's all right. I don't mind.
Follow me on Twitter as well, Cameron. BB_superfan.
Yeah, I think I already am.
Yeah, you are following him, just not me.
I think
not that I'm better.
Your sister might have unfollowed me when I said you wanted to be the new Nasty Nick and that you're a fake ass bitch.
Oh, it may have done.
Yeah, don't mention that right at the end when it's all nice.
Yeah, it's all harmonious, and then he throws that one out.
Oh God, the shade! Right, I'm gonna stop recording, and then you can tell us that extra gossip. All right, here we go.
Stop that.
Bye.
Bye.